Take a deep dive.
Rabbit Hole
Podcast.
That orange ain't the only fruit I'm eating today. Oh,
God.
All right, are you ready?
He's gonna hit your cherry too.
Oh, I remember when I last ate a fruit. Oh, but you look real fruity.
Oh God.
You need to do that voice to Michael. He'd get so uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes.
Face. You should have called Lynx. You goddamn fruit picker.
Oh no!
Oh my God.
It's a throwback.
You're a goddamn fruit picker. Maybe I can take some of yours.
Nero, start the episode.
And with this, everybody, welcome to Rabbit Hole Podcast. We are looking at the beautiful faces of LynxParadox, RusticII, FazeTheFoxBean, MrMacoLive, and I am
Oh, that's
Nerocool.
me.
No.
And today we start our second part of the terrifying life and the subsequent murders of Jeffrey Dominator Dahmer. Old Jeff Dahmer.
Jeff Dahmer.
He's back in town. He is ready to.
Angle.
I'm gonna eat some people.
He's ready to fuck some boys. All right.
What?
I remember cannibalism.
Rustic just
I don't
felt like
remember.
But we're not.
He's ready to fuck somebody. What?
But we're not. But when we left off with Mr. Dahmer here, he had basically I think we talked about the point of where he got in trouble for masturbating in front of two 12-year-old boys.
Oh, I
Lastly,
remember.
and at this point he's living with his grandmother.
We call that premature pleasure.
Oh God.
This is already a terrible start.
Face. You want to know what's even worse? Is you using that voice saying that, and I just look that way and I can see your face on my hand.
You
All
just
right.
fucking watching me, and I'm just oh, hey there.
Oh, hey there. Sounds like
I remember when I laughed
like
at premature
Gravelier
pleasure.
fucking Herbert the pervert.
Oh God.
On November of 1987, Dahmer, at the time residing with his grandmother in West Allis, encountered a 25-year-old man from Ontonagon, Michigan. Ontonagon? What the fuck kind of...
Ontonagon.
Ontonagon.
I bumped him on the noggin.
I bumped an Ontonagon. Ontonagon. Wait, you're doing good, Ontonagon.
Oh my God, you fucking stole my joke, you fuck.
Ontonagon.
Oh my God.
What was the Smitty thing? No, not that one.
Huh?
Fucking. I can't remember the. I can't. It's gone.
The fucking
It's
Oh
gone.
damn, it's windy out here.
No, not that one.
Oh.
Stephen Tuomi, at a bar and persuaded him to return
quick.
to the Ambassador Hotel in Milwaukee, where
Remember
Dahmer
how,
had rented
remember
a
how
room
last
for
episode
the
we told you
evening.
you were getting better at reading?
Yeah, I'm not. Shut up. But it's not that. It's just where we stopped for 5 minutes laughing at Ontonagon, and then I had to get back on track here.
By the way, fair warning, viewers, I am
He is Stonehammer drunk already.
pretty drunk. Yeah. I am already drunk as shit, and I'm still drinking. Cheers.
But according to Dahmer, he had no intention of murdering Tuomi, but rather intended to simply drug him and lie beside him and explore his body.
Oh, I remember him.
The following morning, however, Dahmer woke up to find Tuomi lying beneath him on the bed, his chest crushed in, and black and blue with bruises.
Let's see.
Thank you. I was trying to finish that sentence before it hit. Blood was also seeping from the corner of his mouth, and Dahmer's fists and one forearm were extensively bruised. Dahmer stated he had no memory of having killed Tuomi, and later informed investigators that he could not believe this had happened. Because remember, I guess what happened here was Dahmer was also intoxicated while he was exploring the drugged out body of the other guy.
You betcha I was.
But remember, when he was in school, he was already seeming a bit weird, had violent tendencies. And what did his parents do?
And he was already fucking
Made him
plastered.
jacked. Yeah, and plastered. So yeah, he has extreme
Couple swift punches.
power.
He was getting jacked and drunk at 14 years old. Jesus fucking Christ.
To dispose of Tuomi's body, Dahmer purchased a large suitcase in which he transported the body to his grandmother's residence. There, 1 week later, he severed the head, arms, and legs from the torso, then filleted the bones from the body before cutting the flesh into pieces small enough to handle. Dahmer then placed the flesh inside plastic garbage bags. He wrapped the bones inside a sheet and pounded on them into splinters with a sledgehammer. The entire dismemberment process took Dahmer approximately 2 hours to complete, and he disposed of all of Tuomi's remains, excluding the severed head, in the trash. For a total of 2 weeks following Tuomi's murder, Dahmer retained the victim's head wrapped in a blanket. After 2 weeks, Dahmer boiled the head in a mixture of Soilex and bleach in an effort to retain the skull, when he then used a stimulus for masturbation. Eventually, he used the preserved head for masturbation.
Huh.
I'm skull fucking you. Come here. Eventually,
Whoa.
That almost made
way
me
too
jump how you just went from.
that's how.
I didn't realize that's what they meant when they say fucked up in the head.
That's Dahmer for you though. That's how he was. He was like, and you know what's really fun? Just
He
imagine.
was fucked up in many heads.
Yeah,
He took,
I mean,
literally.
but later on, we will see where he will take these dismembered heads and he'd be like, Jeffrey, you're so beautiful. Well, thank you. I actually worked out today. I'm and then it was so much skull
Why
fucking.
does it sound like it's personal experience?
Norma! Thing is, it is.
Blink twice if you're okay.
Eventually, the skull was rendered too brittle by the bleaching process, so Dahmer pulverized it and disposed of it. So would you take over on ingredients?
Oh, I bet you I can. I
or
won't
ingredients?
talk in the Dahmer
Incidents?
voice.
What the fuck am I
Sure.
talking? God damn, I
I
can't
don't
read.
know.
You making a recipe?
Immediate. Immediate ingredients.
Okay. Following the murder of Tuomi, Dahmer began to actively seek victims, most of whom he encountered in or close to gay bars, and whom he typically lured to his grandmother's house.
Could you imagine that
He
real
would-
quick? Real quick.
Come to grandma.
You're going home with a guy who's in his like mid-20s to the basement of his grandmother's house.
You bitch.
Like, gay or not, it's kind of like.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to fuck inside the house. Grandma might see.
Grandma might see, man.
Grandma's just sitting there, not in front of my salad.
And before Grandma is just as jacked as he is, and she's also a
God.
serial killer.
He would drug his victim with triazolam or temazepam. I'm guessing, guys. Before or shortly after engaging in sexual activity with them.
I just like how
Once
they
he
rhymed.
Yeah, basically.
Try it out.
In sexual activity with them. Once he had rendered his victim unconscious with sleeping pills, he killed them by strangulation.
See,
Suffocation! No
breathing. Well, see,
Okay, no, we good.
and see what we're going to be like. What we're going to find out in our studies of true crime and our deep dives onto serial killers, much like, so you guys remember John Wayne Gacy?
I remember all of them.
Okay, so
Rustic doesn't. He fell asleep midway.
Yeah.
well, John Wayne Gacy was what they call a process killer. He loved the killing. Jeffrey will later on state he didn't like killing. He was
like the aftermath.
he just wanted the remains of a, he wanted the cadaver. And instead
He
of
was a fucking necrophile.
Go to a morgue.
He should have been a fucking mortician.
Mortician. Yep.
instead of grave robbing, he just killed people. He couldn't kill people unless he was stonehammer drunk like Nero right now.
I mean, it's easier and it's fresher, so it makes sense.
I mean, I am stone drunk. I am plastered, but I will not kill anybody
So
unless you tempt me.
So in this case, people like
I'm kidding. I'm
Dahmer
kidding.
are called.
I tempt you. Kill me.
Necrophiliac?
No, people like Dahmer are called product killers. They're in it just for the product afterwards, and not for the killing itself.
He wants to oomph the brains. Okay. 2 months after the Tuomi killing, Dahmer encountered a 14-year-old Native American male prostitute. 14?
14.
Named James Doxtator. That is that name.
I mean, Dahmer was what by then? Like 17, 18?
Come here, Idaho. I'm gonna dox your tater.
I mean, these are in his 30s incidents.
Oh,
yeah, I thought so. These are late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Dahmer lured the youth to his home with an offer of $50. Actually, back then, that's a lot of money. To pose for nude pictures at Dahmer's West Alice residence. The pair engaged in sexual activity before Dahmer drugged Doxtator. I still like that name. And strangled him on the floor of the cellar. Dahmer left the body in the cellar for 1 week before dismembering it in much the same manner as he had with Tuomi. He placed all Doxtator's remains, excluding the skull, in the trash. The skull was boiled and cleansed in bleach before Dahmer noted it had been rendered too brittle by the process. He then pulverized the skull 2 weeks later.
See, he's using chemicals. You don't use chemicals if you want to preserve a skull, or else it will just crack the skull.
Certain chemicals.
You just no, it's not chemicals. You just boil it in water.
Yeah, you can always do that.
On March 24th, 1988, Dahmer met a
debating
22-year-old male,
Formaldehyde
bisexual male. What's going on? Named Richard Guerrero.
Guerrero, yeah.
Guerrero. Outside a gay bar called The Phoenix. That's a restaurant where I live, and it's really good. Anyway, Dahmer led
Is it also a gay bar?
Oh, no. To his grandmother's residence. Although the incentive on this occasion was $50, he likes that number. To simply spend the remainder of the night with him, he then drugged Guerrero with sleeping pills and strangled him with a leather strap. That's kind of kinky. With Dahmer then performing... Oh, he was not dead. Oh, no, he was dead.
Yeah,
Oral sex upon the corpse. He's
he
dead.
dead. No, he is dead.
Dahmer dismembered Guerrero's body within 24 hours of murdering him. Again, disposing of the remains in the trash and retaining the skull. How does he dispose the remains in the... Anyway. And retaining the skull... He just throws them away.
He throws it. He crushes it all up and throws it in a garbage bag, and the garbage men take it away.
I know, it's just so sad because it's like you would think someone
what it said earlier
is
he butchers, cuts the legs and arms, and then butchers the skin, the fucking meat off of it, and then puts that in the fucking garbage, and then crushes the bones, and then put that in another garbage bag. Is what it said earlier.
Well, either way, they're still going in the garbage.
Yep.
And the garbage men just like they're just going on.
I wonder why these trash bags always smell of blood and sadness.
Well, there was one time that the grandmother was complaining about black ooze coming out from the garbage bags. And Dahmer was like, "Oh, I was just testing my chemicals on dead rodents again."
Yep. And he retained the skull before pulverizing it several months later.
Yeah, that time he done it right.
On April 23rd, Dahmer lured another young man to his house. However, after giving the victim a drugged coffee, both he and the intended victim heard Dahmer's grandmother call, Is that you, Jeff? Although Dahmer replied in a manner that led his grandmother to believe he was alone, she did observe that Dahmer was not alone. Because of this, Dahmer opted not to kill this particular victim, instead waiting until he had become unconscious before taking him to the county general hospital. Honestly, well played. In September 1988, and I hate to say that, in September 1988, Dahmer's grandmother asked him to move out, largely because of his drinking and his habit of bringing young men to her house late at night, and the foul smells occasionally emanating from both the basement and the garage, none of which she checked for some reason. Dahmer found a one-bedroom apartment at 808 North 24th Street. I want to know who lives there now.
No
and
one.
Moved
the
into...
whole after this all came out, the building got torn the fuck down. It was a.
Oh, really?
It was one of. It was one of them.
We ain't fucking affiliated with this bitch and just tears the building down.
No. It was the cheapest hotel. Not hotel. Cheapest
motel.
No, not motel. It's the cheapest, like, apartment complex.
Okay.
It's one of them, that whole row where everything's, like, really cheaper than anything else in the whole city because it's just a bad neighborhood. It's just,
and moved into his new residence on September 25th. 2 days later, he was arrested for drugging and sexually fondling a 13-year-old boy. How'd he fall? 2 days after he moved, he got fucked over. A 13-year-old boy whom he had lured to his home on the pretext of posing for nude photographs. Dahmer's father hired an attorney named Gerald Boyle. That is a name. To defend his son. At Boyle's request, Dahmer underwent a series of psychological evaluations prior to his upcoming court hearings. These evaluations revealed Dahmer harbored deep feelings of alienation. A second evaluation, 2 months later, revealed Dahmer to be an impulsive individual, suspicious of others, and dismayed by his lack of accomplishments in life. His probation officer would also reference a 1987 diagnosis of Dahmer suffering from a schizoid
personality
I'm assuming
disorder.
that's schizophrenic personality disorder for presentation to the court. Do you want me to keep going? I was just going to read through them all unless you wanted to stop me.
Let Lynx take over on the 30th of January.
You do you, boo.
You do you. On the 30th of January 1989, Dahmer pleaded guilty to the charges of second-degree sexual assault and enticing a child for immoral purposes.
That's no longer OO.
No. It really is
no longer OO.
That really isn't OO at all.
Oh, whoa. Oh, no.
Oh,
whoa. Oh, God.
It went from oh, whoa to oh, whoa, shit.
Oh, shit. Perfect.
Wait, can we, oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, whoa.
Whoa?
Oh, whoa.
This went from kinky to scary real quick.
Really fast. The fuck?
Sentencing for assault was suspended until May. On March 20th, Dahmer commenced a 10-day Easter absence from work, during which he moved back into his grandmother's home. Oh, how lovely.
So it
wasn't in that building. Never mind. The next one.
2 months after his conviction, and 2 months prior to his sentencing for the sexual assault, Dahmer murdered his fifth victim, a mixed-race 24-year-old aspiring model named Anthony Sears, whom Dahmer met at a gay bar on March 25th, 1989. According to Dahmer, on this particular occasion, he was not looking to commit a crime. However, shortly before closing time that evening, Sears just started talking to me. Dahmer lured Sears into his grandmother's home, where the pair engaged in oral sex before Dahmer drugged and strangled Sears.
No longer OO again.
No, God damn it. And it's also, what was the term? It's no longer called oral sex on this show. What is it called? What was, where we accidentally clicked it last week and it...
Oh, shit.
What was the term? What's the actual term for oral sex?
Oh, fuck.
Head?
No.
Brain? I mean, this guy took
Brain
both those
F.
terms literally.
Fellatio.
Fellatio.
Fellatio!
Fellatio.
Fellatio.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna name this episode Tons of Fellatio.
God. Fellatio, then strangulation.
It's usually how it goes.
Scroll down.
Oh,
The following morning.
The following morning, Dahmer placed the corpse in his grandmother's bathtub, where he decapitated the body before attempting to flay the corpse. He then stripped the flesh from the body and then pulverized the bones, which he again disposed of in the trash. Honestly, I'm surprised his grandmother hasn't found out at some point during all this.
No, Jeffrey's just over there banging on things again.
Jeffrey, where are you getting all these bones?
Oh, wait, how long?
What?
Ignore me!
According to Dahmer, he found Sears exceptionally attractive, and Sears was the first victim who he permanently retained any body parts. He preserved Sears' head and genitalia in acetone and stored them in a wooden box, which he later placed in his work locker.
Literally
Wow.
at
Holy fuck.
work.
Yeah, I got my boy's dick right with me.
I got my dick and balls right in the locker whenever I need it. Just when he's on break, he looks around. You know, you can see it. He opens up. There's no one around. Takes it up, and then puts it back. And
oh fuck.
Hey,
Rustic's like, I'm
shit.
eating here right now. What the fuck? I am.
Why are you eating?
this is a terrible time to
I'm
eat.
fucking hungry, you bitch.
You're about to
Eating
hate-
during a cannibal story. Let's go.
Let's go.
First part is I have chicken.
Oh no. When he moved to his new address the following year, he took the remains there. On May 23rd, 1989, Dahmer was sentenced to 5 years probation and 1 year in the House of Correction, with work release permitted in order that he be able to keep his job.
He loved his job. He loved working at that chocolate factory.
He was also required to register as a sex offender. Yeah, understandable.
Well, like literally, they allowed him to go to work at night because he worked night shift, and then when he got off, he had to go back to jail for a year. So it's-
Goddamn. That's a commit. That's a commute.
That's a commute, exactly.
2 months before.
Do you think
was
he
scheduled-
learned like the front guards' names?
On a side note, by the way, I was in the other room and I was
Probably.
having my roommate and his girlfriend listen to Lynx reading about the serial killer and his voice, and they're both sitting there like, that is fucking terrifying. Just a soothing voice, just. He then slowly drugged him and killed him.
Committed the sexual ooh-woos and oh-no's.
Oh
Oh,
god.
nosies.
Keep
Are
going.
you eating?
Fuck,
Yes.
where was I?
2 months
Rustic's
before
eating,
he's
yes.
scheduled.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
I'm
right.
drinking
2 months
my
before
coffee,
his scheduled release from the work camp, Dahmer was paroled from this regime. I don't know, regime.
Regime.
Regime. His
Zombie
5-year
year.
probation imposed. Oh, okay. His 5-year probation imposed in 1989 began at this point. On release, Dahmer temporarily moved back to his grandmother's home in West Alice. Yeah, Alice. Before in May 1990, moving into the Oxford Apartments, located on North 25th Street in Milwaukee. Although located in a high crime area, the apartment was close to his workplace and was furnished, and at $300 per month, inclusive of all bills excluding electricity, was economical. $300 a month, god damn.
Jesus. Yeah.
No, like I said,
wanna-
really cheap. This is where he would commit the rest of his crimes.
I love just a stuffed face.
high
Rusty.
crime area.
Jesus.
I think
Fuck off.
Nero, are you
no.
dying over there? Are you falling asleep to
Rusty, it sounds like you're
Murder?
mid-performing fellatio. What's up?
Fuck off. No.
Well, since you're eating, I'll take over for a little bit. On May 14th of 1990, Dahmer moved... Nero!
I'm back.
Did he
Sorry.
fuck-
Okay.
I was like, did he fucking
It's a
die?
bag.
I keep seeing his body, like, pop in and out of existence. I'm like, are you there?
I'm back.
On May 14th of 1990, Dahmer moved out of his grandmother's house and into 924 North 25th Main Street, apartment 213, taking Sia's mummified head and genitalia with him. Within 1 week of his moving into his new apartment, Dahmer had killed his sixth victim, Raymond Smith. Smith was a 32-year-old male prostitute whom Dahmer lured into apartment 213 with the promise of $50 for sex.
Why is it always 50?
Hey,
Those
he's
people will
precise.
like
He's got an MO.
He's got
Who would
ammo.
have sex
Yeah.
for $50? That man better be attractive as shit.
Well, you know,
Back then?
checking inflation, $50 is like almost
How much? Wait, what year
None
was
of her
this?
only 30 years,
1990.
though.
Okay, wait.
It's 30 years. Oh God, the 90s babies are going into 30s.
Yeah.
Don't remind
No.
me.
Oh, Mako, me and you are both almost fucking 30 now.
I know.
Actually,
Everyone
Lynx
born
too.
Have your
before
midlife crisis
2000.
later.
Yeah, everyone
Uh,
born before
just-
2000 is now illegal to drink.
As
Don't
a
even
as a
check your
side
ID.
note,
I know.
Side note, if $50 in 1990 is worth 105 today.
Okay, so
That's
it went
still not
up.
that
It
much,
still
though.
went, but it still went up $55.
105 and some change.
So here's my only thought, and Lynx brought out a great point. I went to the liquor store. I literally showed them my ID, and they said, "Oh no, I see the one." It was just like that fucking TikTok, and I was like,
Wait,
"What do you
what?
mean the one?" And they're like, "Yeah, if you have a 1 at the start of your birthday, that means you're over 21 now." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up!"
Oh no!
Wait, what?
Oh,
my God.
No, because
I was
they're
so
right.
mad.
It's 2021.
Because they're right. It's 2021. No.
Yeah.
I said, like, son of a bitch.
On May 4th. Wait,
This
shit.
is old.
You guys got me fucking lost. Inside the apartment, he gave Smith a drink laced with 7 sleeping pills, then manually strangled him.
That seems like a bit overkill.
Just a little bit. The following day,
I only
Dahmer...
usually need 3.
What?
What?
What? Rustic, are you
Hold up.
admitting here
Hey.
hold up. I think that deserves a drink before I continue. Hold up.
Oh yeah.
Was I supposed to stop? We should be saying tink tink mid podcast and have a shot. I'm on
Drinking
drink
game for
3
everybody at
already,
home.
so I feel like I need to slow down.
I'll
Just,
get back.
yeah, because it's
You're
going to
on
end up
drink
just
three,
being me and
goddamn.
Lynx like it always is at like 10 in the morning.
Bitch,
I'm
how
tired.
about shut the fuck up? I don't know how many more
Lynx,
times I had
has it
landed in
not
you.
been just me and you for the last 3 weeks in a row at like 10 in the morning?
I didn't even get on last week.
The last 3 weeks.
Last Saturday, I was with Lynx. We met like we were hanging out with fucking Maddie.
Last Saturday you were double killed with both high and
Oh wait,
drunk.
that was the week before then. No, you're right. That was
Got on
the
last
that was the
week and
week.
the week
That was
before
the
I
one.
got
That was
off
the week
the phone.
I got crossfaded.
What?
The week before that, though, me and Lynx were hanging out with fucking Maddie at the end of the fucking night.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I passed out that night because I was extremely tired. I worked a 52-hour week that week.
Yeah, I work at like 6. The Saturday we drank. I wake up at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
and then I like drink. I
Rusty.
like sleep for like
Case?
5
You
hours.
make
I
fun
like
of me
sleep for like
for
5 hours
fucking
before we start
sleeping.
drinking.
They're sleeping too. Fuck you.
So I did it
Anyway,
multiple times on stream too.
You do it earlier. That's why.
It's
well,
because I'm tired. I go to bed. Anyway, we're talking about sex and rape and murder, not this.
We're about to get into penis chopping. Well, he's already done
They
once.
call that cutting the weenie.
But the following day, Dahmer purchased a Polaroid camera with which he took several pictures of Smith's body in suggestive positions before dismembering him in the bathroom. He boiled the legs, arms, and pelvis in a steel kettle with soy eggs, which allowed him to rinse the bones in the sink. Like, he literally just made it into a really fine soup, and it just went down the drain.
Good soup.
God. Dahmer dissolved the remainder of Smith's skeleton, excluding the skull, in a container filled with acid. He later sprayed painted Smith's skull, which he placed alongside the skull of Sears upon a black towel inside a metal filing cabinet. The reason that he done the spray paint, because if he was ever caught, he was going to act like it was one of them fake plastic skulls. And that's why he spray painted it.
I would say he's a genius, but I think he's dumber than us. So.
God damn it, Faye.
You're welcome.
God damn it.
Disconnecting. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Approximately 1 week after the murder of Smith on or about May 27th, Dahmer lured another young man to his apartment. On this occasion, however, Dahmer himself accidentally consumed a drink laden with sedatives intended for consumption by his guest. And when he awoke the following day, he discovered his intended victim had stolen several items of his clothing and $300 and a watch.
Fuck, dumbass.
And a watch.
Now you deserve your name, Dahmer.
Get fucked.
Dahmer never reported this incident to police, although on May 29th, he divulged to his probation officer that he had been robbed. In June of 1990, Dahmer lured a 27-year-old acquaintance named Edward Smith to his apartment. He drugged and strangled Smith on this occasion. Rather than immediately acidifying the skeleton or repeating previous processes of bleaching which had rendered previous victims' skulls brittle, Dahmer placed the Smith skeleton in the freezer for several months in the hope it would not retain moisture. Freezing the skeleton did not remove the moisture, and the skeleton of this victim would be acidified several months later. Dahmer accidentally destroyed the skull when he placed it into the oven to dry, a process that caused the skull to explode. Yeah.
Oh, guys, don't look at explosions.
Imagine your brain that is composed of 70% fucking water, just getting frozen solid and fucking put into the oven at like 350.
Rain blast.
Literally
God.
became Jimmy Neutron for a day.
Got a blast.
Got a blast.
Detonates.
Dahmer himself was later informed police he had felt rotten about Smith's murder, and as he was unable to retain any parts of his body. See, because he didn't like the killing.
No, but pause here. It says Dahmer himself was later to inform police that he had felt rotten about his murder because he was unable to retain parts of the body.
Yeah.
Not because he killed his acquaintance.
Yes.
But because he couldn't keep the body.
Yes.
That's
Because
so fucked.
because he's a product killer. He only kills for your skull.
But that's still fucked up. I can't believe
since-
it's one of those things. He's not even upset about the murder. He's just like, damn it, I couldn't get that skull.
He couldn't get the skull. That's what he's upset about. Less than 3 months after the murder of Smith, Dahmer encountered a 22-year-old Chicago native named Ernest Miller outside a bookstore on the corner.
Only is that one's fucking of age. Fucking Christ.
Literally.
On the corner of North 27th Street, Miller agreed to accompany Dahmer to his apartment for $50 and further agreed to allow him to listen to his heart and stomach. When Dahmer attempted to perform oral sex upon Miller, he was informed that that'll cost you extra. Whereupon
$50.
whereupon Dahmer gave his intended victim a drink laced with 2 sleeping pills. On this occasion, Dahmer had only 2 sleeping pills to give to his victim. Therefore, he killed Miller by slashing his carotid artery with the same knife that he used to dissect his victims' bodies. Miller bled to death within minutes, and Dahmer then posed the new body for various suggestive Polaroid photographs before placing the body in his bathtub for dismemberment. Dahmer repeatedly kissed and talked to the several head while he was dismembering the remainder of the body. Oh, that's a nice. We make sure to get the pee-pee. Oh, dear. Wait.
I'll remember to get that pee-pee.
Why does every time we
I'll
listen
bring
to a fucking
extra
serial
fish
killer story, I just feel like I'm just losing more and more hope into fucking humanity?
Because
As if it wasn't already low enough with the fucking
Is it
recent
terrible?
fucking times.
Most of these
To be
like
fair.
stories, John Wayne Gacy's was fucked, but like most of these stories to me, I've seen horror games that have worse shit than this. Is that bad to say? I think I'm
No.
desensitized to that point.
Yeah.
I can see that. But it's also interesting because it makes
Oh,
you...
it's so fucked up because it's real life, but
Yeah.
I'm like reading it on a thing compared to seeing it. Of course, it's hard to like imagine it.
Exactly, and that's what the beauty of this whole story is that it's not about there is no beauty in the murder of 17 people, but the beauty of it is the mystery of the person that did it. Like, why? Like, what was the point in finding out his
I
true
know.
motive?
Here was the other thing I was going to mention. In John Wayne Gacy and every other serial killer we've mentioned before, the police had been looking for these people and were led to this victim or to the actual killer multiple times before his arrest. So far, he has killed. Is it 9 people? Is that his 9th?
I think this is his 9th, but I'm gonna stop you right there real quick because you're about to get really pissed off here in a minute.
No, I know, but I've read this story once just to make sure I was prepared for
It just
everything.
sucks.
But like, I'm sitting there going, no, the police haven't seen him or even asked him shit up to this point. 9 kills,
Right.
and he got arrested for killing someone.
Well, let me take
or not killing someone, for trying to have sex with somebody who is younger, and all these young people are disappearing. They never even question it.
Well, let me show you. Let me tell you why. It's
scary.
It's the 1980s/1990s. Gay, like homosexuality and it's prostitution, homosexuality, prostitution, and it's either Hispanic or African Americans that he's taking. That none of them none of them go reported missing. Because,
That's true. I didn't think about that,
because during this time, of course, we're still, please God, let us get to where we need to be. But like during this time, it was even worse, and police were they were like it's sad, but that's what it was. Hell, straight prostitutes were considered less dead. If one goes missing, they would just
Yeah.
So imagine a gay African-American prostitute in the middle of Michigan.
That is the worst combination to be.
Yeah, and it's sad to say, but probably a lot of people said at that time, because the world wasn't accepting it all, just said good riddance.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the world definitely has gotten a lot better.
That's true.
But it's still.
I guess I'm not thinking. I'm used to everyone accepting everyone, so I'm
Yeah.
going, all these people dying. How the fuck has someone not found them? And now it's like, no, back then they didn't give a shit.
They didn't give a shit. It was, I mean, and that's
Granted, that is
that's
zero
hard to think.
blame to the police force. It's just at the time, the people in general.
Exactly. And I mean,
That's what the thought was.
And that's hard to say because, you know, it was just literally just 30 years ago.
It is. Well, you can say that about almost 10 years ago.
Exactly.
10
Yeah.
years ago, that was the case.
Yeah.
5 years ago, it was just turning to not be the case.
So, like, in terms of relatively, like, fucking,
fucked
like,
up.
being accepting of, like, homosexuality and, like, all the stuff like that is, like, it's, like, an infant. It's, like, it's in its infancy.
Right.
Because, like, like
Infancy
you could
of
still
acceptance, yeah.
yeah no like you could still go to places in America where they will not accept you or
Oh,
like
I know.
accept
Yeah,
people,
you
yeah.
can.
Yeah, Mako knows.
Just
He
go
lives in
down
one
to
of
the
these
Bible
parts.
Belt.
I'm in the most Bible thumping fucking state you can be
What's
in.
what's the one church that
Yeah.
really hates homosexuals?
The
Christian?
Church of Latter-day Saints, the
Sorry.
Mormons.
No,
Yeah.
there was another one that I saw where some people bought the house across the street and painted it as like a gay rainbow from the church.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
Whoever the people that did that, they are fucking amazing.
Yep.
Protestants?
No.
Maybe? No.
Maybe that's.
Let me-
I don't
let me-
think
let me
it's
look
the,
it.
I don't think it's the Catholics because the Catholics accept
It's a
accept
Catholic.
homosexuality.
It's a Catholic church.
Well, we know that which type of Catholic. There's
Yeah.
1,000 types.
True. Well, the Pope
West-
said he.
Don't say
Wait,
the Catholic.
Westboro
The
Baptist.
Pope
Yeah,
said-
Westboro Baptist.
All right.
It's Westboro Baptist Church. That,
Oh,
that
okay.
one.
It's a
Oh,
Baptist.
Baptist. Yeah. Oh, Baptist makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I went to a Baptist church before.
Yeah.
But either way, I've also been to churches where they were like shaking on the floor. But either way,
Wait, what?
yeah.
Mushroom, the
Mako,
mushroom church.
Those are called seizures. We know they say it's breakdancing. It is not breakdancing.
and thus, that's what led me away from a church.
All right, go back to fucking Jeffrey Dahmer instead before we
Now I just
get
don't believe in
canceled.
anything. You do you.
Oh
But
yeah,
either way,
fuck yeah.
But
I believe in
Dahmer-
myself.
But Dahmer wrapped Miller's heart, biceps, and portions of his flesh from the legs in the plastic bags and placed them in the fridge for later consumption. He boiled the remaining flesh and organs into a jelly-like substance using Soylix, which he then put on pieces of toast, and he said it was just like jam. No, which again,
I was like, what the fuck?
enabled him to rinse the flesh of the skeleton, which he intended to retain. To preserve the skeleton, Dahmer placed the bones in a light bleach solution for 24 hours after allowing them to dry upon a cloth for 1 week. He then the severed head was intentionally placed in the refrigerator before also being stripped of flesh and then painted and coated with enamel. 3 weeks after the murder of Miller, on September 24th, Dahmer encountered a 22-year-old man named David Thomas at the Grand Avenue Mall and persuaded him to return to his apartment for a few drinks, with additional money on offer if he would pose for photographs. In the statement to police after his arrest, Dahmer stated after giving Thomas a drink laden with sedatives, he did not feel attracted to him, but was afraid to allow him awake in case he would be angry over having been drugged. Therefore, he strangled him and dismembered the body, intentionally retaining no body parts whatsoever. Because
Yeah, he might be mad. Let me just take
Wait,
care of that.
don't tell me because he was
That
white.
man might slap
No.
me. I need to kill his ass.
that's a possibility. But
No, it's true. He could have got caught very quick from that.
either way, the reason he didn't keep any of the body parts of this one,
He was unattracted.
he wasn't attracted to him. He
Must
didn't.
look like me.
He had if Dahmer killed you, you were beautiful to him. But the only reason he killed this one is
I'm safe!
Because, yeah.
I'm
Rustic,
probably not.
probably not. But
He likes him some Rusty.
Hi, yo, face. Can we get that scene from the start of the episode again?
No,
Just don't
no,
accept
no.
$50, Rusty. It's fine.
he photographed.
love to slowly pull that tail up.
Oh, take the $50, Rusty.
Take the
Take the
$50.
$50.
Don't take the $50.
is $50.
There's bones in the chocolates.
Don't take the whiskey. Don't take the whiskey.
Whiskey? Woo! Where is it? Oh, cheers.
Woo!
He photographed the dismemberment process and retained these photographs, which later aided in Thomas's subsequent identification. Following the murder of Thomas, Dahmer did not kill anyone for almost 5 months. Although on a minimum of 5 occasions between October 1990 and February of 1991, he unsuccessfully attempted to lure men to his apartment. He was also known to have regularly complained of feelings of both anxiety and depression to his probation officer throughout 1990. With frequent references to his sexuality, his solitary lifestyle, and financial difficulties, on several occasions, Dahmer is also known to have referred to harboring suicidal thoughts. So that's the end of 1990, and I just read all the 1990 section. Who's going next?
I'd love to read the whole 1991 section.
All right, get to it.
In February 19... I'm kidding.
No, my God,
In February 1991, I'm going to read it in the Dahmer voice the whole time.
The whole time.
You
In
won't.
February 1991, I will not, because that is a long damn thing. Dahmer observed a 17-year-old man named Curtis Strader standing at a bus stop near Marquette University. I'm assuming it's Marquette, because if you pronounce the T's, you're a bitch. Anyway, according to Dahmer, he lured Strader into his apartment with an offer of money for posing for nude photos, with the added incentive of sexual intercourse. Dahmer drugged Strader, cuffed his hands behind his back, then strangled him to death with a leather strap. He really likes that leather strap. Mm-hmm. He then dismembered Strader, retaining the youth's skull, hands, and genitals, and photographing each stage of the dismemberment process. Less than 2 months later, on April 7th, Dahmer, as you can tell, I've drank a lot since we've started this. I've also spilt a lot on my desk. Less than 2 months later, on April 7th, Dahmer encountered a 19-year-old boy named Errol Lindsay. Walking to get a key cut, Lindsay was heterosexual. Dahmer lured Lindsay to his apartment, where he drugged him, drilled a hole in his skull, and poured hydrochloric acid into it. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. According to Dahmer, Lindsay awoke during or after this experiment, Jesus Christ, which Dahmer had conceived in the hope of inducing a permanent, unresistant, submissive state, saying, "I have a headache. What time is it?" In response to this, Dahmer again drugged Lindsay, then strangled him. He decapitated Lindsay and retained his skull. He then flayed Lindsay's body, placing the skull in a solution of cold water and salt for several weeks, in a hope of permanently retaining it. Reluctantly, he disposed of Lindsay's skin, when he noted it became too frayed and brittle. By 1991, fellow residents of the Oxford apartments had repeatedly complained to the building's manager. Sopa Princeville.
The manager's building.
That is a name. Sopa. Did I say manager of the building? Anyway.
No, you said manager's building.
Nice. Of the foul smells emanating from apartment 213. In addition to the sounds of falling objects and an occasional sound of a chainsaw, because they didn't bother asking that. Hey, there's a chainsaw downstairs right now.
Complain to this building.
I heard a chainsaw downstairs. There's something wrong.
Something wrong.
He's cutting wood in his front yard or in his front room. What the fuck? Princeville did contact Dahmer in response to these complaints on several occasions, although he initially excused the odors emanating from his apartment as being caused by his freezer breaking, causing the contents to become spoiled. I've had that happen. It sucks.
It sucks.
On later occasions, he informed Princeville that the reason for the resurgence of the odor was that several of his tropical fish had recently died, and he would take care of the matter. On the afternoon of May 26, 1991, Dahmer encountered a 14-year-old boy. What the fuck? Wow. Teenager.
14, yeah. Laotian.
Oh, Laotian teenager named Conoric Synthasophome.
Synthasophome. We are butchering this.
Synthasophome.
Conorac.
I'm guessing. I don't know. Sorry. I'm going to call him Conorac Synth.
Synth?
That sounds like he's a furry now. Anyway, no, he's dead.
Oh, God.
That was mean. Unknown to Dahmer, Synth was the younger brother of a boy whom he had molested in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking very bad timing. He approached the youth with an offer of money to accompany him to his apartment to pose for Polaroid pictures. According to Dahmer, Synth was initially reluctant to the proposal before changing his mind and accompanying him to his apartment, where the youth posed for 2 pictures in his underwear, before Dahmer drugged him into unconsciousness and performed oral sex on him. On this occasion, Dahmer drilled a single hole into Synth's skull, through which he injected hydrochloric acid into the frontal lobe. Before Synth fell unconscious, Dahmer led the boy into his bedroom, where the body of a 31-year-old Tony Hughes, whom Dahmer had killed 3 days earlier, lay naked on the floor. According to Dahmer, he believed that Synth saw this body, yet did not react to seeing the bloated corpse, likely because of the effects of the sleeping pills he had ingested and the hydrochloric acid Dahmer had injected through his skull. Synth soon became unconscious, whereupon Dahmer drank several beers while laying alongside him before leaving the apartment to drink at a bar, then purchased more alcohol. In the early morning hours of May 27th, Dahmer returned towards his apartment to discover Synth sitting naked on the corner of 25th and State, talking in Leo, with 3 distressed young women standing near him. Dahmer approached the woman and told him that Synth, whom he referred to by the alias Jong Hamung, was his friend, and attempted to lead him to his apartment by the arm. The 3 women dissuaded Dahmer, explaining they had phoned 911. Upon the arrival of 2 Milwaukee police officers, John Balkerzak, dude, these fucking names are nuts, and Joseph Gabrish.
These 2 is where you're gonna...
Dahmer's demeanor relaxed. He told the officers that Synth was his 19-year-old boyfriend, that he had drunk too much following a quarrel, and that he frequently behaved in this manner when intoxicated, which is... Dahmer added his lover had consumed Jack Daniels whiskey that evening. The 3 women were exasperated, and when one of the trio attempted to indicate to one of the officers, both of whom had observed no injuries beyond a scrape to Synth's knee, and believed him to be intoxicated, that Synth had blood on upon his testicles, was bleeding from his rectum, and he had seemingly struggled against Dahmer's attempts to walk him to his apartment prior to their arrival. The officer harshly informed her to butt out and shut the hell up, and to not interfere. I don't know why I did that voice. Shortly after the arrival of the Milwaukee police officers, shut the hell up. I'm gonna shoot a bolt through your head. Hashtag D&D. Shortly after the arrival of the Milwaukee police officers, 3 members of the Milwaukee Fire Department arrived at the scene. These individuals also examined Synth for injury and provided a yellow blanket for the police officers to cover Synth. One of the 3 believed Synth needed treatment, but the police officers directed the police department personnel to leave. Shortly thereafter, personnel to leave. Shortly thereafter, Officer Richard Perukian, arrived at the scene. He and Jabrish, followed by Balserzak. Dude, okay, these are like some fucking biblical names. Escorted Dahmer and said, this, I feel like I'm reading some like fucking prompt out of Kings or some shit. Escorted Dahmer and Synth to Dahmer's apartment, as Dahmer repeatedly commented on the general crime in the neighborhood and of his appreciation of the police. Inside his apartment, and in an effort to verify his claim, he and Synth were lovers. Dahmer showed the officers the 2 semi-nude Polaroid pictures he had taken of the youth the previous evening. Though Balserzak said he smelled nothing unusual, Jabrish later stated he noted a strange scent reminiscent of excrement inside the apartment.
The apartment smelled like shit.
Yeah. The odor emanated from the decomposing body of Hughes. Dahmer stated that to investigate this odor, the one officer simply peeked his head around the bedroom but didn't take a good look. The officers then left, with a departing remark that Dahmer take good care of Synth. This incident was listed by the officers as a domestic dispute. Wow, that's fucked. Upon the departure, if I ever, no offense, but like, I'm sorry, if you see blood coming out of the ass and dick of a person who's on the fucking floor, outside speaking a language you don't know, and can't tell what the fuck's going on and is struggling from another person, you should probably just bring him to the doctor or at least get their ID.
Yeah.
Hello?
Make sure there
They
is
didn't even get his ID. He just
ID.
said he's 19. This is a 14-year-old boy. And I cannot look at this picture because I know somebody who looks almost identical to this kid.
And you know what's
And my brain is terrified for this kid now.
After the capture of Dahmer, these 3 were fired. But then,
I hope so.
But listen, no, it gets better. They
Wait, what?
came back and
Oh,
were
wait,
named
what?
Police Officers of the Year in 2005.
I will say, though, granted, a person's whole entire life when it comes to a career as fucking terrifying as police officer would be, I don't mean to, like, bring up something weird, but to me, at that point, if something like this had happened and they had a really good reason to it, because we're just reading a Wikipedia page written by some person,
Yeah.
the whole situation could have been a lot more, like, tame and calm than this person's making it sound. And if they don't have warrants, they can't search the house. If they don't have access to the private property, they can't do anything there. If he doesn't have ID on him, you're not forced to show your ID to police officers. That's stated. So, I mean, technically they followed protocol. It's just really fucked up from our side because we're going, how did you not fucking save this kid?
Right.
But, I mean, at the same time, I guess it could have easily happened. But upon the departure of the 3 officers from his apartment, Dahmer again injected hydrochloric acid into Synth's brain. On this occasion, the injection proved fatal. The following day, May 28th, Dahmer took a day's leave from work to devote himself to dismemberment of the bodies of Synth and Hughes. He retained both victim skulls. On June 30th, Dahmer traveled to Chicago, where he encountered a 20-year-old man named Matt Turner at the bus station. Turner accepted Dahmer's offer to travel to Milwaukee for a professional photo shoot. At the apartment, Dahmer drugged and strangled and dismembered Turner and placed his head and internal organs in separate plastic bags in the freezer. Turner was not reported missing. 5 days later, on July 5th, Dahmer lured 23-year-old Jeremiah Weinberger.
Weinberger.
Is it Wine or Ween? Weinberger?
Weinberger?
I think it might be
Burger,
Ween.
maybe.
Either way,
Ween might
from
be
a
right.
Chicago bar to his apartment on the promise of spending the weekend with him. He drugged Weinberger, I'm just going to say Weinberger because I'm afraid I'm going to offend people that like knew him, because this is not that old ago. He drugged Weinberger and twice injected boiling water through his skull. Jesus Christ. I have felt boiling water on the skin. I couldn't imagine that in your brain. Sending him into a coma, from which he died 2 days later. On July 15th, Dahmer encountered 24-year-old Oliver Lacey. Jesus, these were all like literally 2 weeks apart. Oliver Lacey at the corner of 27th and Kilbourne. I used to live on a street named Kilbourne. Lacey agreed to Dahmer's ruse of posing nude for photographs and accompanied him to his apartment, where the pair engaged in tentative sexual activity before Dahmer drugged Lacey. On this occasion, Dahmer intended to prolong the time he spent with Lacey while alive. After unsuccessfully attempting to render Lacey unconscious with chloroform, he phoned his workplace to request a day's absence. This was granted, although the next day he was suspended. After strangling Lacey, Dahmer had sex with the corpse before dismembering him. He placed Lacey's head and heart in the refrigerator and a skeleton in the freezer. 4 days later, on July 19th, Dahmer received word that he was fired. Upon receipt of the news, Dahmer lured 25-year-old, Jesus Christ, that was 1 day apart. Dahmer lured 25-year-old Joseph Bradhoff to his apartment. Bradhoff was strangled and left lying on Dahmer's bed covered with a sheet for 2 days. On July 21st, Dahmer removed the sheets to find the head covered in maggots in 2 days. Holy shit. Whereupon he decapitated the body, cleaned the head, and placed it in the refrigerator. He later acidified Bradhoff's torso along with those of 2 other victims killed within the previous month.
Well, okay,
Damn,
so
this guy needs to clean his apartment.
like, okay, well, he lost his job, and that was his last thing that he had in his last touch of reality. Now the girls are back in town, you know, like he's going all out. This is his berserker moment. So now this leads us to
This is when they always get captured.
Exactly. So this is when we're gonna lead this into this right here. Lynx, if you could.
Alright. On July 22nd, 1991, Dahmer approached 3 men with an offer of $100 to accompany him to his apartment.
Hey, it was more than
I'm assuming that's $50 each. Oh, wait,
never
no.
mind.
Actually, yeah, wait. Is it 100 for all 3 of them?
Yeah, 100 for just 3 of them.
Well, that's even worse.
You can't even split it fair. What the fuck?
God damn. To accompany him to his apartment to pose for nude photographs, drink beer, and simply keep him company. Okay, I guess they evened it out with the beer. One of the trio, 32-year-old Tracy Edwards, agreed to accompany him to his apartment. Upon entering Dahmer's apartment, Edwards noted a foul odor and several boxes of hydrochloric acid on the floor, which Dahmer claimed to use for cleaning bricks. Alright. After some minor conversation, Edwards responded to Dahmer's request to turn his head and view his tropical fish, whereupon Dahmer placed a handcuff upon his wrist. Ooh, getting kinky. When Edwards asked, "What's happening?" Dahmer unsuccessfully attempted to cuff his wrists together. Then Edwards,
Well,
unsuccessfully attempted to. Okay. And then just told him to accompany him to the bedroom. I was like, okay, I know I just put a handcuff on your wrist and I failed to handcuff the other one, but can you come to my bedroom and we can just take photos?
Well, it's not that he failed to cuff the other one. It's I read further into this that he cuffed both the cuffs on the same arm.
Dumbass.
And so both the cuffs were just on the same hand. Like, the fuck?
Well then. While inside the bedroom, Edwards noted nude male posters on the wall and that a videotape of The Exorcist 3 was playing. Oh, setting the mood, I guess.
He loved The Exorcist 3.
He noted a blue 57-gallon drum in the corner, which a strong odor emanated.
Yeah, in that gallon drum, there's like 3 torsos,
God
all
damn.
just liquefying in their own ooze.
Why is he
Very
drinking?
pleasant.
While he's taking a drink.
This is some good ooze. Dahmer then brandished a knife and informed Edwards he intended to take nude pictures of him. In an attempt to appease Dahmer, Edwards unbuttoned his shirt, saying he would allow him to do so if he would remove the handcuffs and put the knife away. I mean, apparently your hands aren't handcuffed together, so...
No, he just wanted them off his
you
arm.
could just leave.
Yeah.
In response to this promise, Dahmer simply turned his attention towards the TV. Edwards observed Dahmer rocking back and forth and chanting before turning his attention back to him. He placed his head on Edwards' chest, listening for his heartbeat, and, with the knife pressed against his intended victim, informed Edwards he intended to eat his heart. Oh.
Ah.
Fuck.
Not the heart attack I thought we'd be listening to tonight.
Very nice.
Oh, whoa.
In continuous attempts to prevent Dahmer from attacking him, Edwards repeated that he was Dahmer's friend and that he was not going to run away. I think it's already too late.
Hey, come on,
Edward
buddy. Come on. I'm not gonna go anywhere. Come on, but we're pals, buddy.
Come on, man.
Don't call me buddy, pal.
I've known you for at least 20 minutes.
Like we're friends,
wouldn't
buddy.
kill me.
We're pals, man.
Don't eat my heart. Edwards had decided he was going to either jump from the window or run through the door, or the unlocked front door upon the next available opportunity. When Edwards next stated he needed to use the bathroom, he asked if they could sit with a beer in the living room, where there was air conditioning. Dahmer consented, and the pair walked into the living room, where Edwards exited the bathroom. Inside the living room, Edwards waited until he observed Dahmer had a momentary lapse of concentration before requesting to use the bathroom again. When Edwards rose from the couch, he noticed Dahmer was not holding the handcuffs. Whereupon Edwards punched him in the face, knocking Dahmer off balance, and he ran out the front door. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
At 11:30 p.m. on July 22nd, Edward flagged down two Milwaukee police officers, Robert Ruth and Rolf Mueller.
Rolf Mueller. That's a strong name. Rolf
Mueller. At the corner of North 25th Street, the officers noted Edward had a handcuff attached to his wrist, whereupon he explained to the officers that a freak had placed the handcuffs upon him and asked if the police could remove them. When the officers' handcuffs keys failed to fit the brand of handcuffs, Edwards agreed to accompany the officers to an apartment where Edwards stated he had spent the previous 5 hours before escaping. Fuck, man. He was there for 5 fucking hours.
Mm-hmm.
Good job on him for surviving all that.
Yeah, for real.
They got there, this guy fucking killed himself. Goddamn coward.
In the wait.
When the
Weather
officers.
report. Oh, cool. Let's get the paragraph. When the officers and Edward arrived at apartment 213, Dahmer invited the trio inside and acknowledged that he had indeed placed the handcuffs upon Edwards. Although he offered no explanation as to why he had done so at this point, Edwards divulged to the officers that Dahmer was also brandishing a large knife upon him, and this had happened in the bedroom. Dahmer made no comment to this revelation, indicating to one of the officers, Mueller, that the key to the handcuffs were in the bedside dresser. As Mueller entered the bedroom, Dahmer attempted to pass Mueller to himself, retrieve the key, whereupon the second officer present, Roth, informed him to back off. In the bedroom, Mueller noted that there was indeed a large knife beneath the bed. He also saw a saw in the open drawer, which, upon closer inspection, contained scores of Polaroid pictures, many of which were human bodies in various stages of dismemberment. Wow, nice.
And then listen, like Mueller was looking at these pictures, right? And he was like, "What the fuck? This is weird." And then he looked around him and he goes, "I'm in the fucking studio." Oh shit! Like,
Oh, fuck, man. Mueller noted that the decor indicated that they had taken in the very apartment in which they were standing. Mueller walked into the living room to show this to his partner, uttering the words, "These are for real." When Dahmer saw that Mueller was holding several of his Polaroids, he fought off the officers in an effort to resist arrest. The officers quickly overpowered him, cuffed his hands behind his back, and called a second squad car for backup. At this point, Mueller opened the refrigerator to reveal the freshly severed head of a black male on the bottom shelf. Fucking Christ.
like you're a beat cop. You're not supposed to be like, investigating all this stuff. You know, you're not supposed to see all this stuff. You open the door, there's a head. Kill me. And it's a TF2 spy. And just kill me later. But like,
Yeah, no. You find a bunch of Polaroids with a bunch of dead bodies and various stages of really fucked up shit. And then you just open the fridge. Oh, a head.
Oh, there's
How
a head.
I'm quitting my job. Goodbye.
The cop was ahead of the game. I'm sorry. I'm really not.
No, the cop had his head in the game.
As Dahmer laid pinned to the floor beneath Ralph, he turned his head towards the officer and muttered the words, For what I did, I should be dead.
I should be dead.
Yes. Probably.
Kinda.
It's never good if you hear that from the guy you're arresting.
Yep.
Yeah, for real.
If he admits it on the spot, you're like, well, this is about to get bad.
A more detailed search of the apartment conducted by Milwaukee Police Criminal Investigation Bureau revealed a total of 4 severed heads in Dahmer's kitchen. A total of 7 skulls, some painted, some bleached, were found in Dahmer's bedroom and inside a closet. In addition, investigators discovered collected blood drippings upon a tray at the bottom of Dahmer's refrigerator, plus 2 human hearts, and a portion of arm muscle which wrapped inside plastic bags upon the shelves. In Dahmer's freezer, investigators discovered an entire torso plus a bag of human organs and flesh stuck to the ice at the bottom.
there was this other story with one of the investigators, Patrick Kennedy. He was like the Class A star cop in this whole story, and like he said, I went to open the refrigerator, and he had all the on the cabinet on the side. He had all the cabinets. He got the ketchup. He has mustard. He had everything all ready to go. Your normal stuff. And then I look over here underneath the box. There's a black man staring at me. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to react to that? Like, he has all. It was absolute insane time.
Yeah, just a normal ass fridge plus body parts.
Yeah.
Everywhere else in apartment 213, investigators discovered 2 entire skeletons, a pair of severed hands, 2 severed and preserved penises, a mummified scalp, and in a 57-gallon drum, 3 further dismembered torsos dissolving in an acid solution. A total of 74 Polaroid pictures detailing the dismemberment of Dahmer's victims were found. In reference to the recovery of the body parts and artifacts at 924 North 25th Street, the chief medical examiner later stated, "It was more like dismantling someone's museum than an actual crime scene."
Yeah, because he had it all set up just for him to see. Like, he had it all, like, rigged up, ready to go. Like, it was all set up. It was insane.
I feel so bad for the police officers that walked in there thinking, "Oh,
Yeah.
today I might have to give out a couple parking tickets," and you hope nothing bad happens, and then this happens.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think I would have to quit immediately.
So,
Or at least a
like,
vacation. I'd probably take a vacation.
so real
I'd take a
quick,
permanent vacation.
real quick to like,
I'd have to get like a month off or so.
the rest of the things I'm going to try to paraphrase in our own way, because because I knew this whole tidbit right here would just be a lot of repeats. But basically, after his capture, he did confess to them after a while to Kennedy, and they all, at first, these investigators was not believing him whatsoever.
Would you?
But he was telling the truth about everything, and then when they would call, be like, "Yeah, we just found another human torso," and then Kennedy walks back in there to him like, "Can we start from the beginning again?" And then that's when he talked about his entire confession. And then he went to he was indicted on September 14th. And he was for 15 counts of murder. But he was guilty, but insane. Which honestly, yeah. I can see guilty but insane. He was truly insane. Dahmer's trial began on January 30th, 1992, and he was tried in Milwaukee for the 15 counts of first-degree murder before the judge Lawrence Graham. By pleading guilty on January 13th to the charges brought against him, Dahmer had waived his rights to an initial trial to establish guilt. As defined in Wisconsin law, the issue debated by opposing counsels as Dahmer's trial was to determine whether he suffered from either a mental or personality disorder. The prosecution claiming that any disorders did not deprive Dahmer of the ability to appreciate the criminality of his conduct or to deprive him of the ability to resist his impulses. The defense is arguing that Dahmer suffered from a mental disease and was driven by obsessions and impulses he was unable to control. Because, well, here's the thing. The only time that he killed was when he was stonehammer drunk. But Dahmer knew this. He didn't like the killing process, so he had to be drunk to get killed. So, what is it? The defense, the defense and what? What's the other one called?
Jury?
No.
The offense?
Offense.
Attorney?
The offense? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, well, the offense, they suggested, well...
Prosecutor.
The prosecutor, thank you. The prosecutors are more or less like, well, you know, he had to be drunk to do it. So he knew that he had to drink just to do it. He wanted to do it. But that was their like I said, like it says, the prosecution rejected the defense's argument that Dahmer was insane. Forensic psychiatrist?
Yes. Question mark?
Dr. Philip Resnick testified that Dahmer did not suffer from primary necrophilia because he preferred live sexual partners, as evidenced by his efforts to create unresistant, submissive sexual partners devoid of rational thought, and to whose needs he did not have to cater. So he was more or less, he was trying not to kill.
He was trying to make a living sex doll.
Exactly.
I didn't want them to be dead. I just want them to be unresponsive.
I just want them to be unresponsive. Because remember back when we go back to the first episode, he did not like when his partners moved during sex. And if they were more of a mover, then he couldn't get off and he had to be a bottom. And he did not like being a bottom. But either way.
An inferiority complex.
But either way, on February 15th, the court reconvened to hear the verdict and reconvened. God damn it. Dahmer was ruled to be sane and not suffering from a mental disorder at the time of each of the 15 murders for which he was tried. Although in each count, 2 of the 12 jurors signified their dissent. Formal sentencing was postponed until February 17th. On this date, Dahmer's attorney announced his client wished to address the court. Dahmer then approached a lecture and read from a statement prepared by himself and his defense. He faced the judge. In this statement, Dahmer emphasized that he had never desired freedom following his arrest, and that he frankly wished for his own death. He further stressed that one of his murders had been motivated by hatred, that he understood that nothing he either said or did could undo the terrible harm he had caused for the families to his victims and the city of Milwaukee. And at that, he had his doctors believe his criminal behavior had been motivated by mental disorders. Dahmer added that this medical knowledge had given him some space, and that although he understood that society would never forgive him, he hoped God would. Dahmer closed his statement with the following: "I know my time in prison would be terrible, but I deserve whatever I get because of what I've done. Thank you, Your Honor, and I'm prepared for your sentence, which I know will be at the maximum I asked for no consideration. He then returned to his seat and awaited formal sentencing. And Dahmer was then sentenced to life imprisonment, plus 10 years upon the first 2 counts, with the remaining 13 counts carrying a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment, plus 70 years. The death penalty was not an option for Judge Graham to consider as the penalty phase, as Wisconsin has abolished capital punishment in 1853. Upon hearing Dahmer's sentences, his father Lionel and stepmother Sherry requested to be allowed a 10-minute private meeting with their son before he was transferred to Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage to begin his sentence. This request was granted, and the trio exchanged hugs and well wishes before Dahmer was escorted away. Because they knew the moment that Dahmer was going to be in Gen Pop, Dahmer was going to be dead. And it didn't take long, because upon the sentencing, Dahmer became a born-again Christian, and he always kept a copy of a Bible with him. He was off alone for a while, but on the morning of November 28th of 1994, Dahmer left his cell to conduct his assigned work detail. Accompanying him were 2 fellow inmates, Jesse Anderson and Christopher Scavier. The trio were left unsupervised in the showers of the prison gym for approximately 20 minutes, and at approximately 8:10 a.m., Dahmer was discovered on the floor of the bathrooms of the gym, suffering from extreme head wounds. He had been severely bludgeoned about at the head and face with a 20-inch, 51-centimeter metal bar. His head had also been repeatedly struck against the wall in this assault. Although Dahmer was still alive, he was rushed to a nearby hospital. He was pronounced dead 1 hour later. Anderson had also been beaten to the same instrument, and died 2 days later from his wounds. Scavier, who was serving a life sentence for the murder he committed in 1990, informed authorities he had first attacked Dahmer with the metal bar, as Dahmer, was cleaning a staff locker room. Before attacking Anderson, as he cleaned an inmate locker room. According to Scavier, Dahmer did not yell or make any noise as he was attacked. Immediately after attacking both men, Scavier was thought to be schizophrenic. Returned to his cell and informed the prison guard, "God told me to do it. Jesse Anderson and Jeffrey Dahmer are dead." Scavier was admitted adamant. What?
Adamant.
Adamant. Thank you. He had not planned the attacks in advance, although he later divulged to investigators he had concealed the 20-inch iron bar used to kill both of the men in his clothes shortly before the killing. And upon learning of his death, Dahmer's mother Joyce responded angrily to the media. "Now is everybody happy? Now that he's bludgeoned to death? Is that good enough for everyone?" The responses of families of Dahmer's victims was mixed, although it appears most were pleased with his death. The district attorney who prosecuted Dahmer cautioned against turning Scavier into a folk hero, noting that Dahmer's death was still murder. On May 15th of 1995, Scavier was sentenced to 2 additional terms of life imprisonment for the murders of Dahmer and Anderson. And that concludes our tale of Jeffrey Dahmer. Of Dominator Dahmer.
That seems like a very slap on the wrist for killing the 2 people. It's like, okay, well, you got 2 other life sentences, which you're already serving, so I'm not really sure what this means.
I think whenever you get multiple life sentences, like, if you have one, it's like you can get parole after like a certain amount of time. I forget how it works, like, exactly. I just know that, like, yeah, it's something like that.
But yeah, that is our take. That's 2 parts done. That's Jeffrey Dahmer. What do you guys What do you guys think of Jeffrey Dahmer?
I think he fucked up. That's why he's in jail.
Well, he's dead.
He's dead.
Okay, I feel like
Oh. Oh yeah, right. Death penalty.
he did.
I zoned
He
out.
did definitely deserve to die, but like,
I zoned out.
Yeah, you did.
what age should he die at, Mako?
He died at the ripe age of.
I don't want ripe and Jeffrey Dahmer in the same sentence.
Yeah, no.
Damn.
He died at 34. He was.
Or he should have rotted for another 20 years.
Yeah, he died.
And then after 20 years, like maybe like around 50, 60, if he was beaten to death, I would be like, okay, he served his thing.
Yeah,
I'm just happy.
I
he's
just saw you
dead.
stepped away. Face. You doing good?
But yeah, that.
I'm not happy right now.
Not happening.
Yeah.
We love you, Face.
Reading the whole arrest or the non-arrested thing, the 14-year-old, and then looking up and seeing that picture that looked like a kid I know.
Yeah.
I literally, my brain just would not. I could not separate the two situations, and I was just fucking petrified.
Yeah.
I get that. I get
Because
that.
that kid is like my brother, and I was like, what the fuck is going on in my brain? Bad time to get drunk. Bye.
But yeah, that's going to conclude our episode today, ladies and beans. We will be back next week. Other than that, we ain't got nothing else. Make sure to go check out our Twitch channels at twitch.tv/LynxParadox, RusticII, FazeTheFoxBean, Nerocool, and myself at MrMacoLive. But until we see each other next time, remember to always hail yourselves.
Bye-bye.
Peace out, beautiful bastards.
Don't get Dahmered.
Come here.
Don't take the $50.
Don't take the $50 and don't chop off the
50's a
separate
cursed
penis.
number.
All right. I'm gonna head out.
See ya.
See you guys